Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Jamie McLennan, brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Jamie standing by. Located oceanside in beautiful Parksville, Bayside Resort is one of Vancouver Island's premier spots to get away, unwind, and recharge. Call now to book your reservation. And mention Donnie and Dolly for 10% off your nightly room rate. Book your island getaway at BaysideOceanfrontResort.com or call 250-248-8333. Again, Russell Wilson is going to the Denver Broncos, a massive package coming back. We don't know all the details in terms of what the Seahawks are going to get, but we understand that package does include Drew Lock. And with that, we bring in Noodles from TSN, our friend Jamie McLennan. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. How's everyone doing today?
Very, very well, very well. We brought this up with Corey Hirsch earlier. He was on our show. It's our Goaltender Tuesday. At least that's what we're calling it today. Whatever happened to the art of the goaltender poke check? You don't see it as much, if at all, these days.
Well, if you want to talk about it recently, it didn't work so well against Chris Kreider when you were Connor Hellebuck the other day for his the third goal of that game. He was throwing out the lizard's tongue, and Kreider went right around it. The guy who uses it the most and still is very effective with it is Marc-Andre Fleury, because the poke check is effective when it's used as a surprise.
Right.
And if you project it, or if you choke down on your stick and show that you're actually going to poke check, guys will do something else. The players are too sharp, they're too fast, they react too quickly. So I think it's a refined technique that needs to be used as a surprise, and you can't be known as doing that all the time. Players will just adjust. That's the way I see it.
You said basically the same thing that Corey had to say. Hey, Jamie, everybody talks about Thatcher Demko and how well he's playing, and they focus on the positive, of course, especially here in Vancouver. Do you see flaws in his game that he could work on?
Well, I think there's always flaws. You know, the one thing I love about Thatcher Demko, and yes, you just talked about, the love that he receives, is I love his demeanor in the net. So I played with some great goaltenders, and a lot of them, they didn't wear the score. Mika Kiprasov, if you looked at his face during the game and looked at his body language, you'd have no idea what the score was. It could be 7-0. He could be getting buried, or it could be up 3-0. Like, that's just how he played. Demko has a lot of that. He doesn't wear the score. I think he plays kind of the same way. As far as holes in his game, I think everything just comes with, I think he could do a little bit better job fighting through traffic, but that just comes with experience and being stronger in the net. And stronger in the net is, it's not like physically bulking up. It's having, how do I say it? It's, I've got old man strength because I'm a parent. I carry my kid around and stuff. I've developed that through time and just kind of, believe me, I'm skinny fat. I'm not threatening anybody physically, but it's more about, I think you become a little bit more stronger in your position. That's something that I'd like to see Thatcher, continue to work on. And it just comes with time and experience. And it is fighting through screens. Nowadays, everybody, especially the top goaltenders, they see a lot of traffic in front because the narrative is get in their eyes. And if you get in their eyes, they can't see it, they can't stop it. Demko uses his size to his advantage, but I'd like to see him hold his position a little bit more, especially on multiple or layered screens in front of him.
Jamie, a goaltender struggling in a Canadian market, it's a tough thing. I'm looking at Jack Campbell on Saturday. I'm watching his post game. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel for the guy. What's happening there with him? What are you seeing that last couple of weeks have not been good?
I'm seeing a guy who's played too much, who's put in a situation where if you said to me at the starting of the year, Jack Campbell's going to make the All-Star game on his own, I would have challenged that a little bit. Not because of his play and what he's capable of. It's just, to me, I see Jack Campbell more of a tandem. Thatcher Demko's a standalone starter. He's an elite starter. Markstrom in Calgary, Vasilevsky, there's 8 guys that are 60-plus starters in the National Hockey League. The rest are really good goaltenders or great goaltenders in a tandem situation. Jack Campbell wasn't afforded that. At the starting of the season, Mrazek wasn't available to have that tandem. So what happened was the schedule was somewhat spaced out. All of a sudden you get COVID shutdowns, all of that type of stuff. They just ran with him, and he was playing great. So the team is playing well. He's playing well. All of a sudden he's in the All-Star game, and he sets the bar quite high. At one point, I think his save percentage was .942 or something. Really ridiculous. So is that what you expect out of Jack Campbell? Or is he more, above league average or in that area? And to me, they weren't afforded the luxury of having, okay, it's Mrazek or Campbell one night, coin flip, they're both playing well. It's like, hey, let's run with Campbell. And when Mrazek comes back, let's try and give Campbell a night off here or there. So it's the same situation in Edmonton. It's always been Mike Smith or Koskinen. They've never had the luxury of both of them to choose who's playing well at that time. And I think right now, Jack Campbell, I just talked about what you couldn't tell. You can't tell what the score is with Demko, what the score is with Kiprusoff, guys like that. You could certainly tell with Jack Campbell because he wears it. And Rick, that's what you were talking about. You feel for him because he's a guy that you could feel how upset he was after the game, that he knows his game's not there.
He also made a promise. He said, I promise I'm going to bounce back. I want to get back to the Canucks. They're dealing with a goalie situation with Halak. They want to trade him, but the word is he's not going to waive. Jamie, put yourself in Halak's situation. What would you do?
Well, first and foremost, I have to preface my comments. Jaro Halak was a better goaltender than I am. So I'm not going to take a shot at him that way. It's more, would I like to see him move on? Absolutely. And it's best for the organization too, I believe. Because right now, I had a general manager say to me, the goaltending market is depressed right now. And because it's not really at an all-time high. There's not a lot of guys that are available that are top-end talent that can improve teams. What they more are guys like Halak that can, when Halak's at the top of his game, he's a really effective backup. He's not going to step in and save an organization. So if you're an organization that's looking for depth and a guy who can give you good minutes, that's Jaro Halak. Does he want to stay? I mean, I'm sure his family and, you love the city of Vancouver. It's a great city. The organization is making great strides to take the next step. There's a good framework of players in place. I could see why he wouldn't want to move, but ultimately I feel it might be better for both sides to get an opportunity because I don't know if the Canucks are going to make the playoffs. They're dancing or they're knocking at the door. I'm not convinced they will, but they go on a heater and Demko just stands on his head down the stretch. It's certainly capable. They're capable of doing it, but I think if you can find a taker for Halak, because how many games realistically would he start down the stretch here if you're chasing a playoff spot? Mm-hmm. Probably a handful of games, right? That's the $1 million question: is how many starts would you need from somebody else other than Thatcher Demko?
That's it.
2 weeks ago, Rick laughed at us when we talked about Halak possibly being traded. Now, all he talks about every 3 minutes
don't listen to him.
Is the possibility of a Halak trade.
Don't listen to him, Jamie. I've been saying Corey Hirsch backed me up today. He said he's not going to waive as of this morning.
McDavid, Draisaitl, Huberdeau, Gaudreau, Matthews, all, I would think, Hart Trophy candidates. There are others. Should Igor Shesterkin be included in that group?
And Cale Makar as well. I think you named everyone that would be on my list. Here's the thing that this is the wrong wording, but what kind of fires me up about it is, okay, so people are saying, well, centermen drive the game more than, and you can't have a goaltender in there because, goalies are the most important. Oh, and defensemen, so there's always an excuse. And you see a lot online, a lot of, analytic models. Okay, well, this guy's importance to the game is a lot more than somebody else's. And we've had this argument. We've had it on our show. I've had it with other people is, Austin Matthews absolutely has to be there. I think he's having a fantastic season and his game is really well-rounded. But Cale Makar just scored his 20th goal last night. If you watch him, like he is must-watch TV night in and night out.
Absolutely.
And then Shesterkin, where would the New York Rangers be if he wasn't playing net for them? If they just had league average goaltending? Because I think the Rangers are a team that are they can play well, but they give up a lot of chances. And again, if you look at the analytics, Shesterkin, his goals save above average is ridiculous. And he has, I think, the most in the National Hockey League. Demko's right there as well, as far as stolen games, where he's flat out just stolen 2 points. So I would say if I had a list in front of me, Matthews, Makar, Shesterkin have to be my top three somewhere, and move it around. But I would have Gaudreau, Huberdeau, you mentioned McDavid and Draisaitl. I think they've hit the ditch a little bit lately, those two in Edmonton, but I think they have to be there for sure.
And it's not like you're biased towards goaltenders. Jamie, thanks so much for this. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Okay.